Friends, let me begin with a question. Have you ever felt like you're doing everything right, but life still keeps saying no? You pray. You hustle. You visualize. And yet, the breakthrough doesn't come. I've been there. It feels like the door to abundance is locked, and you're standing outside, knocking until your knuckles hurt. But what if I told you? There is a command, a simple but powerful command, that the universe cannot resist. Florence Scovel Shinn called it the language of divine law. And when you speak it, mountains move. Think about this. When you go to a restaurant, do you beg the waiter for food? Do you plead, please, please, I hope I get my meal? Of course not. You order it with clarity and confidence. And you expect it to arrive. That's the secret. The universe is the greatest restaurant you'll ever dine in. But most of us are whispering weak requests instead of giving bold commands. Florence said, "Your word is your wand. What you speak, you shape." Your command is not desperate. It is not doubtful. It is firm, clear, unshakable. When you say, "I am guided. I am provided for. I am unstoppable," you are not asking. You are declaring. And the universe leans in and says, "Yes. As you command, so it shall be." Let me give you a real-life example. A woman I know was buried in debt. Every day she repeated, "I can't afford this. Money is so hard. I'm broke." And guess what? Her life obeyed those words. Bills piled higher. Opportunities dried up. One day, she shifted. She caught herself. Instead of begging for money, she began commanding. "I live in abundance. Money comes to me in expected and unexpected ways. I am rich in every way." Within months, her business took off. Clients found her. Old debts were cleared. Why? Because her words shifted her energy. Her commands became magnets. Friends, the universe is not testing you. It's not punishing you. It's waiting for you to speak with authority. Picture a traffic light. If you keep saying someday, maybe, I hope, you're standing at red. But when you command with faith, the light turns green. Doors open. The path clears. So let me ask you, what are you commanding today? Are you commanding lack? Or are you commanding abundance? Are you speaking fear? Or are you speaking faith? Because every word you speak is a seed. And seeds don't argue. They grow. Florence Scovel Shinn gave us this wisdom almost a century ago. Yet it is more alive today than ever. The command is simple. Speak what you desire as though it already belongs to you. Not as a plea, but as a decree. Say it with me. I am guided. I am favored. I am abundant. I am unstoppable. The moment you claim it, the universe rushes to obey. So today, walk out of here with your head high. With your voice strong. With your words aligned. Because the universe has no choice. It cannot resist a powerful command. Following are the key points you will listen in this video. Your words are not just sounds, they are commands to the universe. Speak with authority, not with begging or doubt. The universe responds to clarity, confidence, and expectation. Negative words command negative experiences. Positive words command blessings. Real change begins when you declare, not when you plead. The universe cannot resist a bold, faith-filled command. Your words are not just sounds, they are commands to the universe. When you really let that sink in, it changes everything. Because most of us go through life treating our words like passing clouds, here 1 second, gone the next. We speak casually, thoughtlessly, almost carelessly. I'm so tired. I never get a break. I'll never have enough money. I always mess things up. These sentences roll off the tongue like they don't matter, like they're just background noise. But in truth, they are not background noise at all. They are blueprints. They are orders you're sending out, and the universe takes those orders seriously. It doesn't ask whether you meant them or not. It doesn't stop to check whether you were joking. It simply receives your command and begins arranging your reality to reflect what you declared. Think about a builder. If you hand a construction crew a blueprint, they don't stop and ask, "Are you sure you want the kitchen this way?" Did you really mean to make the ceiling this low? No, they build according to the design they were given. Your words are those blueprints. Every "I can't," every "I never," every "I'm always unlucky" is a line in the design of your life. And the moment you say it, you hand it over to the unseen builder of your reality. Florence Scovel Shinn once said, "Your word is your wand." And that's not just poetic. It's literal. A wand directs energy. It channels invisible power into visible form. Your words do exactly that. They take the unseen substance of possibility and shape it into your lived experience. That's why careless words can trap a person in cycles of struggle they don't even realize they've scripted for themselves. I remember a man who always joked, "Knowing my luck, something will go wrong." He'd say it every time he planned something, before a trip, before a meeting, even before a family gathering. It became his running line, like a catchphrase. And strangely enough, something always did go wrong. The flight would get delayed. The deal would fall through. The weather would turn bad. He thought he was being funny, but what he didn't see was that his words were commands. He wasn't predicting bad luck, he was programming it. His phrase was an order, and the universe simply delivered what was spoken. On the other side, I've seen the opposite. A woman I knew was raising 3 kids on her own, working 2 jobs, barely making ends meet. But she had a phrase she lived by. Whenever anyone asked how she was doing, she would smile, even with exhaustion in her eyes, and say, "I'm blessed, and better things are coming." She said it not once, not twice, but every day, for years. And people would roll their eyes. They'd say, "You're struggling. How can you call yourself blessed?" But she kept commanding it. "I'm blessed. Better things are coming." And you know what? They did. She eventually started a small business from her kitchen, which grew into a steady income. Her kids went to college debt-free. Opportunities seemed to find her at just the right moment. And every time someone asked, "How did you do it?" she would smile and say, "I spoke it until it showed up." This is the unseen law at work. Words are not just descriptions of life, they are prescriptions for life. They carry vibration, intention, and authority. And that authority doesn't come from volume or drama, it comes from belief. It's why when you declare something with conviction, your whole body feels it. Your chest lifts. Your shoulders square. Your voice steadies. That moment of alignment is power, because the universe doesn't respond to half-hearted muttering. It responds to conviction. Think about how you talk to yourself in the mirror. Do you sigh and say, "I look terrible. I'm getting old. Nothing's changing"? Or do you look yourself in the eyes and declare, "I am growing stronger every day. I am radiant. I am exactly where I need to be, and better is unfolding"? That difference is not cosmetic, it is cosmic. One voice commands decay, the other commands growth. Even science supports this. Studies on affirmations and neuroplasticity show that repeated words and thoughts literally rewire the brain. Neurons that fire together wire together. The more you say something, the stronger that pathway becomes. So when you say, "I can't, I can't, I can't," your brain builds a road of impossibility. But when you say, "I can, I will, I am," your brain builds highways of possibility. And what's inside of you eventually reflects outside of you. Let me ask you something: if a friend spoke to you the way you speak to yourself, would you still want that friend around? For many of us, the answer is no. We allow ourselves to speak words of defeat, of limitation, of fear. And then we wonder why the harvest of our life feels so bitter. But it's simple. You cannot plant seeds of despair and expect to grow a garden of joy. There's a story about a farmer who carried 2 baskets, one filled with corn, the other with weeds. Every day he went into the field and scattered from both baskets. At harvest time, the field was a mix of nourishing corn and choking weeds. And when asked why, he shrugged and said, "It doesn't matter what I throw. It's all just seed." But it did matter. And so it is with words. You cannot throw weeds with your tongue and expect only corn to grow. Every word matters. Every word is seed. So I ask you, what seeds are you planting today? What blueprints are you handing over to the builder of your life? Are you commanding joy, health, and abundance, or are you commanding struggle without even realizing it? Florence said, "Do not say, 'I can't afford it.' Say, 'It is not mine by divine right, and if it is, it will come.' That small shift keeps your command aligned with faith instead of lack. When you say, 'I can't afford it,' you command scarcity. But when you say, 'If it is for me, it will come,' you command alignment with divine timing. The difference between a curse and a blessing is often just a sentence. One word of despair can undo years of progress, but one word of faith can set miracles in motion. That's how powerful words are. They are not noise. They are not filler. They are commands, shaping the unseen energy that creates the seen world. And once you begin to see words in that light, you stop speaking carelessly. You pause before you declare, because you know each declaration is a seed, a spell, a command. You begin to use your mouth as an instrument of creation, not destruction. And slowly, surely, your life begins to align with the authority of your speech. Because the truth is simple, words are not just sounds. They are commands to the universe. And the universe always listens. When you speak, the way you speak matters. It's not just the words, it's the tone, the energy, the authority behind them. Most people don't realize that the difference between a command and a plea can change everything. You can say the very same words, but if one is dripping with doubt and the other is anchored in authority, the outcomes will be worlds apart. Think about a child asking for something. When a child begs, "Please, please, can I have it? I hope you give it to me," there's uncertainty. They're unsure. But when that same child walks up with confidence and says, "I'm ready for my dinner," it carries weight. It lands differently. The parent doesn't hear a desperate plea, they hear a rightful expectation. And the universe is no different. It responds not to desperation, but to certainty. Have you ever begged for something in prayer or in thought? "Please, God, please help me. Please, universe, please bring me money. Please, please let this happen." That energy is rooted in lack. It's rooted in the belief that you don't already have it. It's the vibration of fear disguised as hope. And fear never commands results, it only multiplies itself. Florence Scovel Shinn was very clear on this. She said, "You must act as if you had already received." And acting includes speaking. When you speak with authority, you are stepping into the role of someone who already holds the blessing, the breakthrough, the abundance. Your words ring with power because they are aligned with belief. I once met a man who was trying to grow his business. Every time he spoke about it, his language betrayed him. He would say, "I hope I get clients soon. I really need this to work out. I'm praying someone notices me." Do you hear the begging in that? Do you feel the desperation? His words carried the weight of neediness, and the universe reflected it back. Clients didn't come. Partnerships didn't open up. He remained stuck, not because his idea wasn't good, but because his energy was begging instead of commanding. Then I contrast that with another man, who was in the exact same position. But his words were different. When people asked about his business, he said, "I'm building something powerful. The right clients are coming. I'm guided to every opportunity one need." He spoke as if it were already unfolding, and because of that, he carried himself differently. His handshake was firm. His eyes were steady. His energy was magnetic. And people responded. Clients were drawn to him, not because of luck, but because his words carried authority, and authority is irresistible. Authority doesn't mean arrogance. It's not loudness. It's not force. Authority is quiet strength. Authority is the vibration of knowing. When a judge enters a courtroom and speaks, the room falls silent not because the judge shouted, but because the position holds authority. Your words must carry that same presence. When you say, "I am healed. I am abundant. I am favored," it's not a wish, it's a decree. And a decree doesn't waver. Think about the difference between these two sentences. "I hope I find love someday. I am surrounded by love." The right person is already on their way. Which one carries power? Which one commands the unseen to rearrange itself? The first is weak, dripping with doubt. The second is bold, grounded, undeniable. The first pushes love away. The second magnetizes it. Authority comes from alignment with truth. Florence often reminded people that you don't have to make things happen. Divine law is already working. Your job is to command in alignment with it. You don't beg the sun to rise, you know it will. You don't plead with gravity to work, it just does. In the same way, when you speak in alignment with divine truth, authority naturally flows from your words. Picture yourself walking into a room where the lights are off. You don't fall to your knees and beg, please, please, let there be light. No, you flip the switch with authority. You expect the light to come on. You don't doubt. You don't plead. You command it. That's how you must treat the words you speak to the universe. Flip the switch. Don't beg for light, command it. I remember hearing about a woman who was diagnosed with a serious illness. The doctors told her the odds were against her. Everyone expected her to shrink into fear, to plead for healing. But she didn't. Every morning she stood in front of her mirror and declared, I am whole. I am strong. Every cell in my body radiates health. Her voice didn't shake. She spoke with authority, like a queen issuing a decree. And over time, her body began to align with her words. Against all odds, she healed. The doctors called it a miracle. She called it the law of her word. There's something magnetic about authority. Even animals sense it. A dog knows when you're timid and when you're confident. If you approach it with fear, it feels it. But when you stand tall, shoulders back, voice steady, the dog respects it. The universe is no different. It respects authority. It bends to certainty. So ask yourself, when you speak your desires, are you begging, or are you commanding? Are your words trembling with maybe and hopefully, or are they rooted in it is done? Begging energy says, I don't believe it's mine yet. Authority says, it's already mine, and I claim it now. Florence put it beautifully, faith knows it has already received and acts accordingly. Authority is the voice of faith. It doesn't stutter. It doesn't whimper. It stands tall and speaks with the calmness of someone who knows the outcome is already written. And the beauty of authority is that it doesn't have to prove itself. You don't have to explain, justify, or defend. When you declare, I am abundant, you don't need to show your bank account as proof. The authority is in the declaration itself. When you say, I am guided, you don't need to map out every step. The authority is in the alignment of your faith with the law of the universe. Authority transforms the atmosphere. Imagine walking into a room with your head bowed, voice shaky, saying, maybe I belong here. The room ignores you. But walk in with your head high, eyes steady, saying, I belong here, and suddenly people notice. Nothing changed except your authority. And that authority came from your words. So let me leave you with this. The universe does not respond to begging. It does not respond to fear-filled requests. It responds to authority, to faith-filled commands. Speak not as someone hoping to be chosen, but as someone already chosen. Speak not as a beggar at the door, but as a rightful heir to the kingdom. Speak with authority, and watch how quickly the universe bends to your voice. Clarity, confidence, expectation. These three qualities are like keys that unlock the invisible doors of life. Without them, your words scatter like smoke in the wind. With them, they cut through doubt and create paths where none existed. The universe is not confused, it mirrors back exactly what you speak with clarity, what you believe with confidence, and what you expect with certainty. Most people, though, live in a fog. They say they want more, but more of what? They say they want success, but success in which direction? They say they want love, but what kind of love? The vagueness of their desires keeps their lives vague. Imagine walking into a restaurant and saying, bring me some food. The waiter would stare at you. What kind of food? A salad? A steak? Something spicy? Sweet? Without clarity, there's no order. And without an order, nothing arrives. Yet this is how many of us speak to the universe. We toss out cloudy phrases like, I just want to be happy. I just need a break. I want things to get better. But happiness, a break, better, these are undefined. The universe waits for a clear command. Florence Scovel Shinn often said that your word is your wand, but think of it this way, a wand directs energy. If you wave it without aim, the energy disperses. If you point it with precision, the energy strikes exactly where you intend. Clarity is the aim. Without it, your words dissolve into noise. With it, they become arrows that hit the mark. I once heard of a woman who wanted a new home. For years she prayed, "I want a better place to live." But nothing happened. She remained in the same cramped apartment, frustrated. One day, someone suggested she get clear. So she sat down and wrote, "I live in a 2-bedroom house with sunlight streaming through large windows. I have a small garden out front, and the kitchen is bright and open." She read those words every day, feeling them as if they were already hers. Within months, a friend told her about a house for rent that matched her description almost exactly. The clarity of her vision created a magnet strong enough to pull the right place into her life. Before, her vague request brought no result. But when she spoke with clarity, the universe responded. Clarity is the first step, but confidence is the second. Confidence is the soil where your words take root. You can plant seeds, but if the soil is weak, they won't grow. When you speak with confidence, it's as though you are saying, "I know this is mine. I know this is unfolding." There's no wavering, no second guessing, no hidden apology in your tone. Confidence turns words into laws. Imagine standing before a locked door. If you tap lightly and mumble, "Maybe it will open, maybe not," chances are nothing moves. But if you stand tall, grip the handle, and push with certainty, the door swings wide. Confidence is that push. It's the energy that tells the universe you're not testing the waters, you're claiming your place. I remember a young musician who dreamed of performing on stage. For years, he would say, "I'm trying to be a singer. I'm hoping someone will give me a chance." His words lacked confidence. They carried the weight of uncertainty, and so doors stayed closed. Then one day, he shifted. He began introducing himself differently. "I am a singer. I am building my career. My audience is growing." He spoke with a new tone, not of hope but of confidence. Within weeks, small gigs appeared. Then larger ones. Today, he travels, performing to crowds who sing his songs back to him. The universe didn't suddenly discover his talent, it had been waiting for his confidence to activate it. And then comes expectation. This is where the true magic unfolds. Expectation is different from hope. Hope says, "Maybe." Expectation says, "Of course." Hope is a wish, expectation is a knowing. Think of a pregnant woman. She doesn't say, "I hope a baby comes." She says, "I'm expecting." There's no doubt. There's no question. The arrival is certain, even if unseen. That's how you must hold your desires. You don't hope for abundance, you expect it. You don't wish for love, you expect it. You don't plead for opportunities, you expect them, because expectation is the language of faith. A man once shared his story of struggling with money. He used to say, "I hope I get paid on time. I hope I can make it through this month." His life reflected that, chaotic, uncertain, filled with financial stress. Then he learned the principle of expectation. He began declaring, "I expect money to flow to me. I expect to be paid for my work. I expect abundance to find me in expected and unexpected ways." He carried himself differently, even in small things. He walked taller, smiled more, and approached opportunities with an open hand instead of a clenched fist. And things shifted. Clients who owed him money suddenly paid. Unexpected checks came in. Work opportunities multiplied. The only difference was expectation. Florence wrote, "Man can only receive what he sees himself receiving." That's expectation. If you don't expect good, you block it. If you expect delays, you attract them. If you expect blessings, they rush to meet you. It's not superstition, it's law. So imagine this. Clarity is the order you place, confidence is the tone in which you place it, and expectation is the certainty that it's already being prepared for you. Together, they form a triangle of power. Without clarity, your command is vague. Without confidence, your command is weak. Without expectation, your command is incomplete. But when all three unite, your words ring with irresistible power. Think of a traveler at a train station. If he says, I kind of want to go somewhere, maybe north, maybe south, no ticket will be issued. If he whispers, I hope someone gives me a ride, I hope a train shows up, he'll be ignored. But if he walks to the counter, clearly says, 1 ticket to New York, please, with confidence in his voice and expectation that the train will take him there, everything lines up. The ticket is printed. The train arrives. The journey begins. That's how the universe works. It is the great train station, and clarity, confidence, and expectation are the only way to board. So I ask you, what do you need to get clear on today? What area of your life is clouded by vague language? Where do you need to shift from timid words into confident declarations? And most importantly, what are you truly expecting? Because the truth is, the universe is always responding not to what you beg for, not to what you wish for, but to the clarity of your command, the confidence of your belief, and the certainty of your expectation. Words are like seeds, and every seed has a destiny. If you plant an apple seed, you don't get oranges. If you plant thorns, you don't get roses. You reap exactly what you plant. And your words work the same way. Negative words plant the seeds of struggle, while positive words plant the seeds of blessing. The tragedy is that many people are scattering weeds into their own lives every single day without even realizing it. Think about how often you hear phrases like these: I'm so unlucky. Nothing ever works out for me. I always get sick. People can't be trusted. I'm broke. Life is hard. Those aren't harmless sentences, they are curses spoken over oneself. And when curses are spoken often enough, they take root. Life begins to mirror them back. The universe doesn't judge the words, it simply obeys them. I once knew a man who constantly said, I'm always running late. He laughed when he said it, like it was just a personal quirk. But do you know what happened? He was always late, stuck in traffic, caught in delays, losing track of time. His words were not just describing his life, they were commanding it. And because he expected lateness, life kept handing it to him. Now, contrast that with another story. A woman I met used to struggle with health issues. For years she repeated, I'm always sick. My body just doesn't work right. And guess what? Her health kept spiraling. Then one day, she made a radical decision. Instead of declaring her sickness, she began declaring her wholeness. Every morning she looked in the mirror and said, my body is strong. My cells are healthy. I am vibrant and full of energy. At first it felt silly, her body didn't match her words. But she kept speaking blessings instead of curses. Over time, her energy returned. The doctors were stunned. She was no longer commanding sickness, she was commanding health. Florence Scovel Shinn said, man's word is his wand filled with magic and power. But here's the secret most people miss. The wand works both ways. If you wave it carelessly, you can create chaos just as easily as you create miracles. Negative words are like poison spells. Positive words are like healing spells. Both carry power. Both set creation in motion. It reminds me of the power of music. If you play a sad, heavy song every day, your mood sinks. If you play a joyful, uplifting melody, your spirit rises. Words are like the soundtrack of your life. If you keep playing the same dark, negative track, don't be surprised when your life feels like a tragedy. But if you shift the soundtrack, if you flood your days with words of blessing, suddenly the whole atmosphere of your life changes. Let me ask you this. If a close friend spoke to you the way you speak to yourself, would you keep them around? Too often, we tolerate language from our own mouths that we would never accept from another. We insult ourselves. We curse our situations. We say things like, I'm so stupid. I'll never get it right. I can't do this. And then we wonder why life feels heavy. But those words are like heavy chains, spoken again and again, they keep us bound. Negative words don't just sit in the air, they sink into the subconscious. They program the mind like code in a computer. And once the subconscious accepts the command, it begins working tirelessly to fulfill it. That's why people who constantly say, I'm bad with money, always seem to mishandle it. Or people who declare, I can never lose weight, always struggle no matter what diet they try. The words have programmed the outcome. But here's the hope, positive words work the same way. Blessings are just as contagious as curses. When you begin speaking life, health, abundance, love, and peace over yourself, the subconscious shifts. The mind receives new code, and slowly, the outer life starts matching the inner declaration. A powerful example of this comes from a teacher who once had a student struggling academically. The student always said, "I'm dumb. I can't learn this stuff." And true to his words, his grades stayed low. One day, the teacher pulled him aside and said, "From now on, I want you to say, 'I'm smart. I can learn anything.' Even if you don't believe it, say it." At first, the boy resisted. But over time, he began repeating the phrase daily. His attitude shifted. His confidence grew. And eventually, his grades rose. Why? Because his words shifted his self-image, and his self-image shaped his actions. Florence reminded us, whatever man voices, he begins to attract. So the choice is yours. Will you voice curses or blessings? Will you declare the negative and command struggle, or will you declare the positive and command abundance? Let's use an analogy. Imagine your words as seeds in a garden. Every "I can't" is a weed seed. Every "I can" is a flower seed. Every "I'm broke" plants thorns. Every "I'm abundant" plants fruit trees. And here's the thing, the soil doesn't care what seed you plant. It will grow whatever you give it. The soil is the universe, and the seeds are your words. If you don't like what's growing in your life right now, check the seeds you've been planting. I once challenged someone to change their words for just 30 days. This person constantly said, "I'm so tired. I'm always exhausted. I never have enough energy." And sure enough, they lived tired. I asked them to replace those sentences with, "I am energized. I wake up refreshed. I'm filled with strength." At first it felt fake. But within a few weeks, they noticed their mornings were easier. They had more stamina. Their mind and body responded to the new commands. That's the law of words at work. Even in relationships, words are powerful. Couples who say, "We're always fighting. We'll never get along," live in constant tension. But couples who speak, "We are learning to love better. Our relationship grows stronger every day," begin to see healing. Words don't just describe reality, they shape it. They can poison or they can bless. So here's the challenge, listen to yourself. Really listen. Catch the negative words before they leave your lips. Replace them with positive declarations. Shift "I can't" to "I can." Shift "I'm broke" to "I am abundant." Shift "I'm unlucky" to "I am favored." Shift "Nothing ever works out" to "Everything is working for my highest good." The shift won't just change your language, it will change your life. Because every word spoken is like a command sent into the unseen, and the unseen will always deliver according to the seed you plant. So remember, negative words command negative experiences, positive words command blessings. It's not superstition. It's not wishful thinking. It's law. And the law is always faithful. Real change doesn't begin with begging. It doesn't begin with pleading, hoping, or wishing. Real change begins with a declaration. A line drawn in the sand. A moment when you stop asking life to change and instead command it to shift. Most people spend years pleading for better days. Please let things get better. Please let me have more money. Please let me find love. They plead as though the universe is reluctant, as though it needs convincing, as though it has to be begged into generosity. But the truth is, the universe is already generous. It's not withholding, it's waiting for you to step into authority. Pleading keeps you in the posture of a beggar. Declaring puts you in the posture of a creator. Think about the difference between someone saying, "I hope to be free someday," versus someone saying, "I am free now." The first is weak, uncertain, and keeps freedom out in the distance. The second is a command that pulls freedom into the present moment. And life always responds to the now. I remember a woman who had struggled with a toxic relationship for years. She kept pleading, "Please let him change. Please let him treat me better. Please let things improve." And nothing changed. If anything, it grew worse. But one day, something inside her shifted. She stood up, looked in the mirror, and said out loud, "I deserve love. I am walking away. I declare a new chapter in my life. That declaration was the beginning of everything. Within weeks, she left the relationship. Within months, she rebuilt her life. And eventually, she found the love she had always hoped for, but it didn't come through pleading. It came the moment she declared her worth. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that the spoken word sets the law in motion. Pleading does not move the law, it only magnifies the belief in lack. But a declaration is like striking a match in the dark. It creates instant change, because it affirms alignment with truth. Think of a courtroom. If a lawyer stands before the judge and says, "Please, Your Honor, I really hope you might consider maybe giving me justice," the words fall flat. But when the lawyer stands with authority and declares, "Your Honor, by law, my client is entitled to justice," the entire room shifts. That's the difference between pleading and declaring. One lacks authority, the other speaks with it. Declarations also create turning points. A man once told me his story of struggling with alcohol. For years he begged, "Please, God, help me stop. Please, universe, take this away from me." And he kept drinking. Until one night, after hitting rock bottom, he looked at himself in the mirror and declared, "Enough. This ends today. I am free from this addiction." That moment was the catalyst. He still had to do the work, but his life didn't begin to transform until he declared it. Pleading had kept him stuck. Declaring opened the door. The difference lies in identity. Pleading comes from the identity of someone who is powerless, waiting for rescue. Declaring comes from the identity of someone who is already empowered, already chosen, already worthy. Pleading says, "Maybe one day I'll receive." Declaring says, "It is mine now." Florence wrote, "A man's word is his wand." But think about this, a wand doesn't beg. It doesn't plead. It doesn't whimper. It commands. It directs. It declares. When you declare, you take your place as the magician of your own life, shaping reality with the wand of your word. I once met a young man who dreamed of becoming an author. For years he pleaded, "I hope someone discovers me. I hope I get a chance. I hope my book gets published." But nothing happened. Then one day he shifted. He began declaring, "I am an author. My book is published. My words are impacting lives." He didn't wait for permission, he declared it. And soon he self-published his work. The book gained traction, and eventually, a major publisher picked it up. The turning point wasn't when someone noticed him, it was when he declared his identity. Declarations have a strange way of reshaping the atmosphere around you. They change how you carry yourself, how others see you, and how opportunities flow to you. A person who pleads says, "I hope it happens." Their shoulders slump, their voice wavers, their energy is uncertain. A person who declares says, "It is happening." Their posture lifts, their voice steadies, their presence radiates certainty. And certainty is magnetic. People are drawn to it. The universe responds to it. Imagine walking into a dark room. Pleading is like whispering into the darkness, "Please, I hope there will be light." Declaring is flipping the switch and saying, "Let there be light." The moment you declare, the atmosphere changes. Even scripture echoes this principle. In the beginning, creation didn't happen through begging. It happened through declaration, "Let there be light." Not "Please, maybe, if it's possible, can we have some light," but "Let there be." And there was. That's the power of a declaration, it doesn't ask, it commands. I once challenged someone to shift from pleading to declaring for 21 days. This person had been stuck in financial stress, always saying, "Please let me make it through. Please let money come in." For 21 days, I asked them to declare instead, "I live in abundance. Money flows to me easily. Opportunities come daily. I am provided for." At first it felt uncomfortable, even arrogant. But within those 21 days, unexpected checks arrived, a job offer came through, and opportunities multiplied. The change wasn't magic, it was law. Pleading had been commanding lack. Declaring commanded abundance. Declarations align your words with faith. And faith is the currency of creation. Pleading keeps you in the vibration of doubt, sending the signal that you don't believe it's possible unless something external rescues you. Declaring sends the signal that it's already done, that you are aligned with it, that you expect it. And the universe responds to that frequency with open doors. So ask yourself, what area of your life have you been pleading over? Where have you been begging, hoping, and wishing, instead of standing up and declaring? What new chapter is waiting for you to say, enough? This ends today. I declare a new beginning. Because the truth is this, pleading changes nothing. Declaring changes everything. Pleading keeps you stuck in circles. Declaring cuts a straight line into your future. Pleading makes you small. Declaring makes you powerful. Real change doesn't begin when you plead for it. Real change begins when you declare it. And once you declare it, the universe cannot resist. There's something magnetic about boldness. When a person walks into a room with absolute certainty, heads turn. You can feel their energy before they even speak. Now imagine this same principle applied to your words, your desires, your destiny. The truth is simple. The universe cannot resist a bold, faith-filled command. Not a timid whisper. Not a hesitant maybe. But a command spoken with unshakable conviction. Faith is not timid. Faith is not halfway. Faith is not a soft hope buried under doubt. Faith is the voice that says, "This is mine. It belongs to me now." And when that voice rises inside you, it carries a power that creation itself responds to. Florence Scovel Shinn understood this. She said, "A man can only receive what he sees himself receiving." But it goes further. A man can only receive what he declares with faith. Without faith, words are just sound. With faith, words are lightning bolts. They strike reality and leave it changed. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine standing at the edge of a vast ocean. Most people timidly dip their toes, hoping the waves will carry something back to shore. They toss out little wishes like pebbles, watching them sink into the deep. But a bold, faith-filled command is different. It's like standing tall at the shore, lifting your voice, and declaring to the ocean, "Bring me my ship." That command echoes across the waves. The tide shifts. And before long, the horizon reveals sails approaching. I once spoke with a man who had spent years stuck in a career that drained him. He would always say, "I hope I find something better. I hope the right opportunity comes along." But nothing shifted. One day, after reading Florence's writings, he tried something radical. He stood in his living room and shouted, "I am called to greater work. The perfect opportunity is already mine. Doors are open now." It wasn't just words. He spoke with so much conviction that he felt the atmosphere in the room change. Within weeks, he received an offer in a field he had dreamed of for years. Was it coincidence? Or was it the law of bold command in action? Here's why the universe cannot resist boldness. Boldness is the language of belief. When you command boldly, you are showing that you trust the unseen, that you know your request is already granted. Boldness strips away hesitation. It sends a clear, undiluted signal. And the universe responds to clarity. Think of a radio tower. If the signal is weak, crackling, and unsure, no one tunes in. But when the signal is strong and clear, it travels far, reaching countless receivers. Your words are the same. Pleading is static. Bold faith is a strong signal. And when you broadcast with boldness, the universe tunes in instantly. Remember the story of David and Goliath? A young shepherd stood before a giant who had terrified armies. David didn't plead, "Please let me win, please let this work." He declared boldly, "Today, I will strike you down." That was a faith-filled command. And the universe aligned with it. A single stone brought down a giant. That's the law at work. Boldness commands victory. I've seen this happen even in small, everyday ways. A woman once told me she was terrified of public speaking. Every time she stood in front of a crowd, her voice trembled. She used to plead silently, "Please don't let me mess up, please let me get through this." And guess what? She always stumbled. Then one day she tried a new approach. Before stepping on stage, she declared, "I am confident. I speak with clarity. The audience is blessed by my words." She spoke boldly, even though her knees were shaking. And for the first time, she delivered a flawless talk. Why? Because the universe responded to her faith-filled command. Faith-filled words create alignment. It's as though the entire cosmos says, finally, someone who knows what they want. Let's deliver. Boldness collapses the waiting. It pulls the future into the present. Think about electricity. It doesn't flow until you flip the switch. Pleading is like staring at the switch, saying, please, I hope the lights turn on. But bold faith is flipping it without hesitation. And instantly, the current flows. The room lights up. The power was always available, you just needed the command to activate it. This is why Florence said, never use the word if. She knew that if waters down the command. If is hesitation. If is doubt disguised as possibility. A faith-filled command leaves no room for if. It says, this is mine. This is happening. It is already done. The universe doesn't respond to half-hearted wishes. It responds to certainty. Imagine telling a GPS, maybe take me somewhere nice, I'm not sure where. The GPS can't guide you. But if you boldly say, take me to New York City, the system immediately calculates the route. Your faith-filled command gives direction to the infinite intelligence that governs all things. Let me share one last story. A man once faced bankruptcy. His business was collapsing, creditors were calling, and everything looked hopeless. For months, he pleaded, please, let me survive this. Please, let things turn around. Nothing shifted. Then one morning, he walked outside, lifted his head to the sky, and shouted, I prosper in everything I do. I am supplied from every direction. My business flourishes now. He spoke it with boldness. With faith. With absolute certainty. Within days, a deal he thought was lost came back. Investors stepped in. His business not only survived but thrived. What changed? His words. His posture. His command. The universe cannot resist boldness, because boldness is truth spoken out loud. It is alignment with divine law. It is faith made audible. When you command boldly, you are not creating something out of nothing, you are simply pulling into form what was already waiting for you. So, let me ask you, what are you commanding timidly that you could declare boldly? What are you whispering in hope that you should be speaking with fire? What giant in your life is waiting to fall the moment you say, this ends now? Because the moment you speak with boldness, with faith, with absolute certainty, the universe moves. It shifts. It rearranges. It delivers. The universe cannot resist a bold, faith-filled command.